The payment system for our e-commerce store is nearly finished. We just need to write the code to create any necessary database objects in the webhook handler. In this video, we'll get that started. Before we get to the webhook code though, we need to make a small addition to the Stripe elements JavaScript. Basically, since the paymentintent.succeeded webhook will be coming from Stripe and not from our own code into the webhook handler, we need to somehow stuff the form data into the payment intent object so we can retrieve it once we receive the webhook. Most of this we can do by simply adding the form data to the confirm card payment method. For example, if you were to look at the Stripe documentation and see the structure of a payment intent object, you'd see it has a spot for a billing details object we can add right here under the card. It can take a name, email, phone number, and an address with mostly the same fields we've got in our form. I'll add all this in, getting the data from our form and using the trim method to strip off any excess white space. We can also add some shipping information with all the same fields except for email. You might be thinking this is a bit redundant since there's only one form on the page, and you're right, but in reality, customers might have different delivery and billing information, so I'm adding both. By the way, you'll notice I've also only added post code to the shipping information since the billing postal code will come from the card element and Stripe will override it if we try to add it anyway. There's one small problem though, and that's that we don't have a way to determine in the webhook whether the user had the Save Info box checked. Luckily, there's a place we can add that to the payment intent in a key called metadata, but we have to do it from the server side because the confirm card payment method doesn't support adding it. It's not that hard though, we can actually just write a simple view to take care of it. Let's head over to views.py and make a quick view called cache checkout data. We'll expect only the post method here, so I'll use the require post decorator, and let's import that and HTTP response up here at the top. What's going to happen here is before we call the confirm card payment method in the Stripe JavaScript, we'll make a post request to this view and give it the client secret from the payment intent. If we split that at the word secret, the first part of it will be the payment intent ID, so I'll store that in a variable called PID. Then I'll set up Stripe with the secret key so we can modify the payment intent. To do it, all we have to do is call stripe.paymentintent.modify, give it the PID, and tell it what we want to modify. In our case, we'll add some metadata. Let's add the user who's placing the order. We'll add whether or not they wanted to save their information. And most importantly, we'll add a JSON dump of their shopping bag, which we'll use a little later. I'll also import JSON up here since we're using that to add the bag to the metadata. After adding that stuff, all we need to do is return an HTTP response with a status of 200 for OK, and let's wrap the whole thing in a try except block, and if anything goes wrong, we'll just add a message and return a response with the error message content and a status of 400 for bad request. This way we can post to the view from JavaScript, and if everything goes okay, we should get a 200 response.